Cross-qualification is extremely common, and when I list homes for sale, I almost always require buyers to cross-qualify with a lender of my choice as a condition for an accepted offer. And on the reverse, I often have to facilitate the cross-qualification for my buyers when they win an offer for a home. So I'm going to go into detail about this particular practice of cross-qualification, the details as to what happens, why it happens, and why you need to know about it. Hello everyone, my name is Cameron Stevens and I am a local real estate agent here in Los Angeles and the owner of Stevens Real Estate. Today I want to talk about cross-qualification, which is the process in which a lender verifies the work of another lender in their pre-approval of a particular buyer. Now, by the way, if you happen to like videos like this, hit subscribe, hit follow, etc., whatever platform you're on. That way you can stay up to date with all of the great information related to Los Angeles real estate, because that's what we do around here. Okay, so why would this happen in the first place, this process of cross-qualification? Well, it has to do a little bit with market forces. You see, the market historically in Los Angeles has tended to be heavily in favor of sellers. But on the other hand, the contracts for real estate in California are written heavily in favor of the buyer. That means for most houses, you'll have lots of buyers competing, and then at that point in time, the seller has all of the leverage in the negotiation to determine price and terms and the things that they want, which makes sense, of course, when demand so heavily outweighs supply. But the moment the seller accepts an offer and proceeds with that particular buyer, that seller loses almost all of their leverage. They basically have to proceed with that buyer no matter what, unless the buyer does something very specific to be in breach of contract, like maybe not removing contingencies in time. But if the buyer moves forward doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, the seller really doesn't have any way of canceling on a buyer if, let's say, a better offer comes along. Once a single buyer is selected, the rest of those broken-hearted buyers have no choice but to basically put that home out of their minds and continue on their search and move on to the next one. Of course, the seller can accept a backup offer, but in very few instances is that backup offer actually enforceable, especially if no deposit has actually been put down. To be honest with you, a backup offer is pretty meaningless. All it really means is that that particular buyer gets the first call if something happens to go sideways with the current buyer. Other buyers will go ahead and move on and possibly even get into escrow on other properties by the time the seller, should something go wrong, have to back out and hunt for another buyer to replace the current one. Therefore, you can see how the balance of negotiation power shifts dramatically once the seller accepts an offer. It's usually why the seller is willing to negotiate some repairs or even a little bit on a low appraisal. They know that the alternative of going back on the market and starting the whole process over again is at best just a total pain. And at worst, it might not get them the same price and terms as they did before. Okay, so you're probably thinking though, what in the world does all of this have to do with cross-qualification and lenders checking other lenders' work? Well, many sellers will insist on their buyer of choice getting cross-qualified as a condition of acceptance. That means that even if they fully sign the offer, if the buyer does fail to cross-qualify, that offer acceptance is essentially invalidated because they failed the test, if you will. You see, during a cross-qualification, the buyer's lender packages up all of the details of the buyer's loan and sends that information to a lender that the listing agent knows very well and trusts. It's basically like a second set of eyes on whoever did the loan approval for the buyers to make sure they did a good job, that they know what they were doing, that they had their financials in order, and hopefully that it is unlikely that the loan will have any issues going through. It's basically like saying, look, I don't know the buyer's lender. Things look good from what has been submitted to me, but I'm just going to have a professional that I know, that I trust, just take a look at everything just in case, so I'm protected. The buyer's agent usually connects these two lenders and requests the cross-qualification package to be sent to the listing agent's lender of choice. If the buyer's lender, if they have all of their documents in order and they're well organized, this process really should take 1 day, maybe 2 at the most. Now, if the buyer's lender doesn't have all of their documents in order, all of their things organized, then they might need to request more documents from the buyer to send to the cross-qualifying lender, and that can sometimes be a pretty big red flag. That's why, as a buyer, it is extremely important that your lender be completely buttoned up and very, very quick to respond. You really don't want to be in a situation where you got the congratulations, your offer is accepted, but the cross-qualification is taking longer than it should, and then the seller gets nervous and everybody's on edge, and it's just not a good way to start the transaction. So you might be asking, what is the buyer doing during all of this time? Well, ideally, nothing really. This is something that happens between the two agents and the buyer's lender and the cross-qualifying lender. If you've sent everything to your lender and they have all of your updated documents, you can just wait for the go-ahead, and as soon as cross-qualification is completed, then escrow can be open. So to sum up, the cross-qualification is really just having somebody on the seller's side check some of the work on the buyer's side related to the loan, because as I talked about, the balance of negotiation power shifts pretty drastically from the seller to the buyer as soon as escrow opens. So the sellers, this is like one last chance to just make sure everything's buttoned up with that loan before they say, yep, let's go ahead and do this. So there you have it, an explanation as to exactly what cross-qualification is, why it's important, and why you need to know about it, whether you're on the selling side or the buying side of a home. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something about all of this process, specifically lending and cross-qualification. And if you did, be sure to like and subscribe. If you found this valuable, I would incredibly appreciate you sharing this video with somebody that you know could benefit by connecting with me, having a conversation with me. It's super simple. On my website, there's a button. It says book a consultation. It should be right there at the top, and it connects directly to my calendar. At Stevens Real Estate, we offer a few value-adding programs for both buyers and sellers that really no one else is offering. For buyers, we put together a full marketing plan that paints you as the right buyer for your dream home, and we can help recommend local lenders that will fit your financing situation, even if you're freelance. And don't worry about the inspections. We've got you covered. They're all free, all of them, no questions asked. And hey, if you're looking to sell your home, we offer the ability to remodel now and pay when you sell. 0 fees, no interest, no upfront costs, no nothing. It just gets your house looking awesome, and you're going to get top dollar for it. Plus, we pay for all of the aspects of digital marketing, from photography and drone footage and videography and twilight shots and 3D walkthroughs and virtual open houses, social media campaign, custom website, targeted emails, and more. Everything that you need to get your house sold. Thanks again for watching, and if you're not on your phone, go ahead and pop your phone open, and you can scan the little QR code that's coming up to be taken directly to my website to learn more. Otherwise, there should be a link right there, down there somewhere, where you can be taken to my website and you can learn more. Thanks for watching.